Hi, I'm Liz Larson and I'm back with some cake decorating basics. Welcome to the art of frosting. Today we're going to make this adorable little edible Christmas ornament. It's a simple one, a lovely one, definitely one you can do with kids. I'm actually doing it for my son's cake decorating class, a little art class at school. So I hope you enjoy this one, it's a lot of fun. For today's project, we're just going to use a few simple things. I'm going to use some parchment. You can see I folded it back here. Just a little fine tip paintbrush, a number 4 writer, a number 70 or a number 352 leaf tip, whichever you have is fine, and a number 104 rose tip. So I'm just going to use my really fine serrated knife. I've tried scissors, tried everything else. This works the best. And you want to cut maybe a 1/4 inch off the top to start and just saw very, very slowly and delicately. Now if it breaks a little off the top, that's okay too, because you're going to be covering this with Royal Icing. So here's some things that I made in advance that we're going to use for our angel and also for Christmas trees if you're doing that too. Now this is made out of Royal Icing, which really needs to dry overnight, about 6 hours, maybe a little more depending on whether or not it's humid or damp outside. So here are our little candles. These are just done with a number 1 writer, number 4 writer. I always get that one confused. And these are just done with the end of the parchment cut out. I also have my butterflies. Now these really do need overnight. These are Royal Icing, and I will provide the video for how to do these at the end. Now all of this can be made out of white chocolate if you prefer. It's just not as shelf stable. If it gets warm, it'll melt, but these out of Royal will be perfect to be used as ornaments. This is our Royal Icing that we've made up in advance. You can see that it's nice and fluffy. You have to make sure and beat it for 10 minutes. I'll also provide the video at the end for how to do this. For our parchment, if you want, you can also just cut the tip and use this. You don't really have to use a tip in it, but we're going to go ahead and use the tip. Cut about a 1/4, maybe a little more off. Drop your tip down in and just fill. And Royal Icing is very stiff, so you want to just use a small amount in your bag. Otherwise your hands are really going to ache. So you want to pin down your wax paper here. I'm using wax paper. Parchment's really good too. But just a dot of your Royal Icing will hold it down great. So I've got my number 4 writer in here, and I'm just going to make some straight lines as straight as I can get them. Fairly thin. These are going to be our little candlesticks. There you go. So you can see how that is. Then next we want to add the flames to them, make our stars, and make our wreaths for the top of the angel's head. So I like to be efficient. I'm just going to add my yellow right to this white bag. So I just open it up and take my food coloring, and you guys, if you've been watching long, you know how I love to color stripe. So I'll just tip it down in there and then blend. Gives me a little color variation, and it also saves me bags. Not like bags are expensive, but if you don't have to have a ton of them, all the better for you. Less waste, less cleanup. So just get that mixed around. We'll start our flames and our halos and our stars. So for our flames, we just want to squeeze, circle around a little bit, and release. And we might want to squeeze a little bit more color out. When you mix it in the bag, you do definitely get variations in color. So squeeze a little circle, release to get a point. Squeeze a little circle, release to get a point. So next we want to make some stars. And we're just going to pull and drop. Change your angle to the side. Touch, lift, and drop. And then across. And across. And you see I'm changing the angle of my tip. Let's try that again. Touch, lift, and drop. Make a cross, then an X. That is called dropping a string. Really useful in using Royal Icing. And next, we just want to do our little halos. And for that, we just want to circle, nice even pressure. Circle, circle around. Now the halos could be zigzag. You could even use a garland. But I like this little effect. I think it's cute. So let's do that again. Just circle, circle around. I'm just giving a little flick of my wrist one more time to get the circle, real even pressure. And there you go. Let those dry overnight, or you could put them in an oven on warm, or put the light on if you want to expedite things, but overnight's the best, or use it at white chocolate. So we're going to start now on actually making our angel's gown and putting her head on. I'm going to use my number 104 rose tip, just in a parchment. Again, it's easier to handle in a parchment. It's kind of why I like to use parchment rather than plastic for royal, but you can do it however you like. I also want to show you a quick trick we learned for cake pops. We actually doubled a box. This is a cereal box, and put one inside the other, and then just punched holes down in and it holds it up. But that's what we're using for our cake pop holder. I thought that was kind of good. So I have my cake pops made up in advance, and we'll show you how to do that. So with my hole here, I want to put my cake pop down in, make sure it fits. See how it just sits on top there? I want to put just a little bit of Royal on top. Royal makes great glue. So just set her right down on there. And we want to start our dress. So you can make any kind of a dress you want, but I want to make a choir gown. And I want this to be my front. I've just made a little mark here. And I just want to take my rose tip holder flat and come right down the middle. Just kind of to mark my front and also give me a little cover. I want to turn my rose tip just slightly so that the tip is away from me and the fat part is up. And I want to start to make the folds of her robe. Bring it down, and when you get down here to the bottom, I want to make kind of a garland, if you can see that, so that she has a little bit of a curve to the edge of her skirt. On the other side, I want to turn my tip away. If you can see here, fat part here. So basically, to get that and to get the angle that I need to put it on, I just turn my tip inside the bag and come down. And a little garland. And just keep repeating all the way around. And you can see that it kind of begins to make her look like she has a draped kind of a choir robe on. Make sure that they layer on top of each other. You want to be a little thinner at the top and a little thicker at the bottom. So we'll just continue on around, finish that up. So now we're at the very back, and I want to change my technique a little. I just want to make her have just a little bit of a train. So I'm going to start at the top and come straight down out just a little. And just continue that across the back. 3 or 4 should do it. It's also going to create a little cushion for us for when we place our wings on. Now we're back around to the front here, and we want to give her a little arm to hold her candles. I want to start here to the side, just come straight down. You want your fat side up and in. Bring it up just slightly. You can see it has a little ruffle. I'm going to come just down, even pressure around the corner and up just a little. Before we get started actually putting some of these decorations on, I want to show you that you can actually just take a little knife and very gently detach it from the wax paper. And then you can use that also for placement. The same with the stars and the halos. Now, you are going to break some. That's all a part of the Royal Icing game. So that's another thing I didn't mention before. You make lots of extra. I want to finish off her dress by giving her a little collar. Come all the way around, real even pressure, squeeze, 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 real even. I gave her a little choir robe, a collar. Now remember, this is a really simple design because we're having a bunch of kids do it. If you were making them as fancy ornaments yourself, I mean, you could do elaborate, really gorgeous things. So I'm going to start with giving her a candle. And our icing is still wet, so I can just put that on. And I made her a couple of little heart-shaped hands out of Royal Icing too. And you could do this detail or leave it off. Pipe it in a little heart shape, and it gives her little hands. Same technique as I showed you for the candlesticks. There you go. I like that little detail, it's kind of sweet. Next, I want to mount her halo. Put a little bit of the Royal Icing on as glue. Just a touch. So I had a little bit on advance. It'll just look like part of the halo there. So last, I'm going to use my little paintbrush. I've dipped it in just a little bit of Wilton Food Coloring Black. And you want to dip here, dip it in, and then kind of roll it off to get a nice fine tip. Practice a couple times on maybe a parchment or something first to get a nice little smile. All we're going to do is some little U shapes for her smile and for her eyes. So we want to give her just a little smile, just a little U shape here. And just a couple of U-shape eyes. The very last part of our angel is the most special, and that's putting on her wings. And we've got lots of icing on the back, but we want to add just a tiny touch more just down the spine here of the butterfly. We're going to mount it with the large part of the wings up and get it as high up here as possible. Now here's the hard part. You do have to hold this here for 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Let that glue that we just put on of the Royal Icing dry. Our butterfly is a little heavy, so You want to make sure it doesn't fall off. So that is our little Cake Pop Angel edible Christmas ornament. This one was really simple, great for kids. If you make the wings and the halos and things in advance, then little kids can just build them. You can see it's probably a 15-minute project, maybe less. Or you could have a great time and just make these beautiful and fancy and gifts for people. It's a fun little holiday idea, and you can see that you could also use this idea to turn these into fairies for some other time, little girl's birthday party. It's a really versatile design. I hope you enjoyed learning how to do our little edible angel. I think she's just adorable and really fun for kids. I know you guys will go crazy with the decorations, make them really beautiful. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. There'll be a lot more to come, and join me at theartofrosting.blogspot.com.